Well, hello. I think you all know me, but if you don't, I'm Dondi. I'm coming to you from San Diego. We have Roger Devenyns with us, who is our event manager and so much more, and he's in San Diego, California. We have Madison King with us today, who is the Year 4, Level 4 class administrator. She runs our European programs, and she's in the Isle of Wight today. And we also have Carrie behind the scenes helping us with the tech. She doesn't love being on camera, so I won't bring too much attention to her.
But just everyone, all of you just look up at her now.
Well, if she doesn't speak, you won't see her. It's on speaker view, so only the voice
That's right.
Oh,
appears.
okay, okay, I thought we...
She won't make a peep.
I can handle it for this friendly audience.
Carrie.
So Carrie is our technical person extraordinaire, is someone in the company who does copywriting and so much more.
And a graduate of the certification program.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So we're really happy to see all of you. This is a casual Q&A and webinar to chat with you and converse with you about Year 4. You'll also hear us call it Level 4. It's the same thing. Those two terms are interchangeable. And I want to let you know that the chat box is open. So if you want to say anything in the chat box, any questions, if you need something clarified, Madison and Roger will do most of the talking. And if anything was confusing, you can pick it there, put it there, I'll pick it up, and then I'll let them know about that. So look for the chat box. It's usually down. If you move your mouse a little bit, it will appear usually on the lower part of your screen, and that's the chat box. I do have some questions, but you can also write there. And I'm just really happy you're all with us. Year 4, Level 4 is incredible, and I'm going to hand it over to Madison to tell you how incredible it is. So go, Maddie.
Yay! And it is incredible. Believe me, it is incredible. And the other words I'd use to describe Level 4 is mystical. It's magical. And it's going to help you grow as a practitioner as no other thing is. It's absolutely unique in our training. And, you know, I don't even like calling it a class necessarily. I call it much more an experience, because we create Rancho San Bernardo, which Roger will tell you about, is the perfect place for creating this sort of safe sanctuary where we share with you some of the real deep techniques that Donna has created over time. And you're going to love it. I just love it when people come, because I know that if you are on this call now, you are ready for it, okay? But what is it? Okay, well, Level 4, first of all, it's going to make a huge difference to you as a practitioner, your ability as a practitioner. It's going to expand that ability. It's going to extend it. And it's a really powerful tool to have in your energy medicine toolbox. Now, in future years, it's not going to be something you're going to use every day. Of course not. But when you need it, and when you've got the tool there, it gives you options, it gives you choices, and it adds this other extra layer for you as a practitioner. We call it the advanced training because it actually does advance your skill, and it advances you as a practitioner. So there's two parts to it. There's the grid and regression. So let's talk about grid first of all. The grid, as the name suggests, Donna called it a grid because it reminded her of this sort of structure. If you want like a chassis of a car, the frame of a house, it's the sort of bedrock, it's the linchpin, it's the key upon every other energy system is built upon this basic grid. So you can imagine if all your energy systems are built upon this grid, it behoves you to have that grid robust and strong, okay? And nature or the grand design or whatever you call it, you know, had this intricate balance between all these energy systems and this foundation grid system. And in an ideal world, we'd all buzz along fine, but stuff happens in the world, okay? And if you have a severe shock or trauma, I'm talking something really, oh my God, and I think most of us have that at some time in our life, okay? What can happen is it can damage the grid. It can even break it. So if your foundations are damaged, if they're disturbed, if they're broken in any way, you can imagine the knock-on effect that that has on absolutely every single energy system of your body. But particularly we find the first system it can really hit is the chakra system, because the chakra system is really close to it. It's really entwined on that grid work. So, and it will also hit you in your weaker system. I think all of us, if you've got this far, if you've gone through CLP, you know your own energy now, and you know which system is your weak link. And, you know, grid will hit you there. So, okay, you have a massive trauma, you have big trauma in your life, and your grid gets damaged. It goes out, it gets broken, you know, it's disturbed in some way. Now, what happens is you don't actually melt like jelly on the sidewalk. You know, you don't fall apart. In that great design, you have other mechanisms which help you carry on. They're like a Band-Aid, an elastoplast, if you want, you know, which just cover up some of that damage. And we show you how to work with these safety mechanisms as well. So it's not just the grid, it's some really fantastic. One of the safety measures, and I'm not going to say too much about it, it's actually my favorite thing in the whole wide world, and I do that on myself those days. You're going to love it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you do the class, because you think, yeah, that is a really gentle, lovely technique. But anyway, we're not going into techniques here, right? But these mechanisms stop you falling apart. So it could be a lot of people, not everyone has access to an advanced EEM practitioner. So a lot of people walk through life with a broken grid. But these safety mechanisms, these Band-Aids, if you want, actually enable them to function. And function at, you know, sometimes a very adequate level. But you might suspect a grid is damaged if you have someone coming to you, you're working with them for some time, and things aren't quite holding, you're not getting the results that you would expect from your work. Then you can think, well, maybe we need to go deep down inside onto this level to find what I often think of as the missing part of the jigsaw puzzle. Suddenly, when you put the grid in, all the other systems begin to dance and weave as they should do. So in a nutshell, when you repair the grid, it initiates a deep healing that actually comes from the inside out throughout all your energy systems. And it can be extremely profound. But it can also be sometimes very unpredictable. And I know that I'm often asked, well, why do you keep this great technique to level 4? Shouldn't we be learning it early on? And the answer to that is you could easily learn the technique early on, because you'll be surprised when you come to class that it's a very simple technique. It's really, really easy to do. But that's not the issue. The issue is that this simple technique can engage the body in a transformation that is very profound. And sometimes these profound transformations at such a deep level reverberate through the energy systems in an unpredictable way. So you need to be able to have the experience, competence, and confidence to dance with whatever comes up, okay? And that only comes, unless you're Donna Eden and was born with it, you know, that comes to most of us with experience, years of experience, getting hands-on, working with people so that you can help your client deal with a really profound change if that happens to come up. So, but it's not just looking after the client, it's also looking after yourself. You know, you're very much involved in grid. It's a two-person dance, and you need to have the experience to look after yourself as well, as we do really in all our work, but perhaps more so in level 4. So I know Donna and we all felt right at the beginning that putting such a powerful tool, if you want, into more inexperienced hands was not necessarily responsible. But putting it in your hands, you know, where you've gone through all those levels of training, you've been with us, you've been part of the community. It's like giving you an inspiring gift of enlightenment, which we honor. We honor you being part of level 4, because we love to share this gift. And it's a sacred gift. It's a gift of wisdom, and some of that wisdom is really ancient. And one of the things this class does is it awakens in you something you didn't even know you had, something you had forgotten, and not, you hadn't even forgotten, you didn't even know you had it, but it's there, and we awaken that ancient wisdom, if you want. And so it's a real potential to get deep down inside yourself and really develop your intuition, your feeling, your sensitivity to energy, okay? There's huge depth there, and that is perhaps one of the reasons why I love it, because grid, well, both of them, grid and regression, really encapsulate the energy of Donna Eden, the energy of the woman, the energy of her work, and you feel yourself stepping in to the essence of Donna, and it's a very gentle yet strong, wise woman energy. But I don't want to get too and bliss, okay? Because we do step into this energy, we do step into the essence of Donna, we do go deep into the body, but we also provide you, and this is the other side of the equation that I like, with intensely practical tools to work with the energy. We give you really solid advice, techniques, tools, mentorship, and everything to work with it. So that's grid. Regression, I'm just going to say one thing on regression, and that is we go to the past to heal the present. Okay, so when you find yourself not being able to quite heal a client in the present moment, sometimes you have to look in that rear view mirror, look to the past, heal there, and then it just all tumbles into place in the present. Again, it can be a missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And I'm going to end by saying two things. So it's not really ending yet. Okay, but I am going to say that one thing I love about this, and I think every student has remarked to me about it of level 4, is it isn't a class, it's an experience that you share together. And you will receive a grid and you will give a grid, and the same with regression. And you form a bond with the group as a whole. We keep the group small, but also your little small groups are even smaller. And of course, you will work with someone. So it's very authentic, the bonds and friendships that you make in those 4 days working, or those 8 days working together. As I said, you know, the space is very sacred. So you sort of somehow just let go of all the things outside that you should have done and didn't, or did and shouldn't have. And you enter this sort of sanctuary at Rancho, which is just magical. You know, the earth, the vibration of the energy there, the place is beautiful, and you feel safe. Our whole thing is that you are safe, you're secure, you can relax, and you can dive in deep. And those friendships that come from that sort of diving together are very long-lasting and profound. So I will end now, actually, because I can see I've talked on way more than 10 minutes. Somebody's going to smack my wrist. But I can't stop talking about it, because although I've done this for many years, it is such an enchanting class. It really is. And to get the most out of that, we need you to prepare yourself. Okay, so you have that application form that you will fill in, and there are certain prerequisites. The obvious ones, you have to have done levels 1, 2, and 3 obviously, but we also are trying to find out in your application that you are working with energy medicine, you are building that experience and that competence, you know, and that you are walking your talk and that your energy is balanced, so that you're going to be ready to receive as well as give a grid. Okay, so I want you to really be thinking now, if you decide to apply, to start working with your energy. You should anyway, be doing it every day. It shouldn't be a big deal to just do that little bit of extra to make sure you're really balanced, so that you can come to class and you really get the best out of it. So you don't want to be in a class that you're not ready for. And it's not fair on you, and it's not fair on the other students. So that's the only reason why we ask you to make that application. And also we're very honored that you want to come. And so part of that is for you to actually write an essay about why you think you're ready for level 4. And excuse me, that makes you think yourself as well. What am I doing? Why do I want it? Let's go. Anyway, I'm waffling now. I've gone into my waffle mode now. So I'm going to cut off. I can't see.
It's a perfect time to cut you off of your waffling,
yes,
because I saw 2 guests pop in, and I think Mom and David have joined us. Let's see if they can figure out how to work their sound. Are you 2 there? We can't hear you.
Oh, I could sing whilst we wait.
Are they unmuted?
Are we on?
Yay, we can hear you.
Hi, Maddie. Hi, Dondi. Hi, Roger. Who else?
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
It's so great to have you here. I know you 2 are really busy today. I asked very last minute if they could come in and say hi, and they said, of course. And I said, I know you're so busy today. They said, no, we'll find the time. So you have the floor to say hello.
So I had to get out of my pajamas quickly. So I'm just glad to see you all, and I think I'm glad you're thinking of coming to year 4, because it's wonderful, and you've got Maddie there, and do you have any of the teachers here, Maddie, or you're just here right now?
I'm just here at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yes,
you're
I want
very
all the
lucky.
attention on me, Donna.
It's a wonderful program at a wonderful place. It's amazing, and I'm just excited for you all, and we'll get to see you, right?
You know, one of the things that's really interesting about our whole 4-year sequence is that each year gets better. You may have noticed that going from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 to year 4. But it's not that we try to withhold things, but as you become more experienced and as you become more aware and comfortable with the techniques, we're able to take it deeper and deeper and deeper. So it becomes more profound. And that's everybody's experience in year 4, as well as I'm sure you found in year 3. So we really are glad that you're thinking about taking this next step, and encourage you, and we look forward to seeing you there. And I know you have a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're gonna pop off and let you get back to it.
Thank you for popping in.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Love you.
Thank you, Donna.
Bye, Maddie. Bye, Donna.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
Donna.
So Maddie, I am going to ask you just one more question. I can't believe I am giving you the floor some more at the risk of you talking on and on.
No,
And
but
I
you
love you.
can just say shush, shush.
Because Roger has a lot to say too, but I do want to ask you something, because you touched on applications, and I just wanted you to briefly touch on applications a little bit more, because sometimes somebody isn't accepted to level 4, and it doesn't mean that your journey has ended. It means it's just begun. And in fact, we nurture the time that you have if you aren't accepted to prepare for the next round. And so I just want to I want Maddie. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, yes, I should have done. Smack my wrist, really. Because those applications we take very, very seriously, okay? And they are read by myself and all the directors, and that includes Donna. She reads every single one of them. And we do take them very seriously. And then we either give you, and we try and do it quickly as possible, once the registration's in. Carrie, I think you said the registration deadline was the 27th. It is the 27th. And then we try to get back to you within 2 weeks, because we appreciate that you're going to be really eager to know, can I register? Or, you know, have I got the green light? Very occasionally, and I will always talk to a student. It's not it's not an email thing. It's a very personal thing. But we may suggest to a student, look, you're almost there. To really get the best out of this class, just wait until the next one, you know. Now, it's interesting, okay, because you might have to wait if you want to do it in the States for another year, okay? And in that year, I would guide you, I would guide you on what perhaps you could be working with to really build up and be ready for the class. And in the greater scheme of things, what is a year, okay? But that means you come to it, you're ready, and you get the very best out of it. But what we will have here, and I think Roger will talk later on about it, is if by any chance we suggested that you waited and didn't start on this one, and Roger will tell you the dates and where and everything, then we are doing one in England in the spring of next year as well. So you may have a little choice there. But no, does that answer you? You asked me something else there, Dondi. I think that, if I answered it.
I think that was it, yes. And
Yeah.
England is amazing.
Ooh,
Roger is going to talk about the property in San Diego, and they are both very, very different. And Maddie, you have 20 seconds, the property in England.
Okay, property in England, Doomsday Book, over 1,000 years old. Really immerse yourself in history of the most beautiful Surrey countryside, with all the mod cons of the great conference centre and plumbing and great bedrooms. And it's just full of history. Really easy to get through from London airports as well.
It's beautiful. If you have ever seen Downton Abbey, that's basically the property in England. It's like Downton Abbey. You will want to pack your corset and bustle. Even for you, John. I think you're the only guy on here.
Yeah, it is fabulous. I looked at, sorry, you know you can't shut me up. I looked at so many properties, and when I drove down that driveway, the Downton Abbey driveway, I thought, this is it.
It's beautiful. It's enchanting and wonderful. And so is San Diego. So on that note, let's throw it over to Roger Devenyns. And Roger, talk about what's happening in San Diego, what it's like, and also our modern world, because everyone's so curious what will happen in our world. Do you have all the answers for us?
Do you have a hotline to God?
Yes, now that I've recovered from that typical European snobbery from Maddie about, oh, Wotan House is so wonderful. Oh, we've got Greek goddesses. Oh, we've got acres and acres of lawns and swimming pools. Oh, we're so great. Yeah. Wotan
I
House.
got to keep up the grit end, Roger.
No, it's amazing. Tiernan has actually named the gargoyles at Wotan House. It's a great place. Love Wotan House.
And I did say one
We're
thing,
seeing it next
really,
year.
in that snotty English accent of mine. Henry VIII came and worshipped in the chapel there. Mm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's because he didn't like the Wotans and he was going to bankrupt them. So he kept showing up because they had to spend the money to host the king. So the more he showed up, the more he put them in debt. It's actually good stuff. Good bitters. Maddie, every time you speak, you cut out my picture. I want you're a naughty, naughty girl. So.
I say nothing. I say nothing.
All right. So San Diego. All right. I see some wonderful familiar faces there and a couple new faces, which is always fun to see. We are at a unique property in San Diego. It's called the Rancho Bernardo Inn. I think we have appropriate links on the level 4 landing page, and you can Google it and look it up. It's a different property than you're used to when studying in the US with us. There are no sprawling everything. It's very cute and very small, very intimate. For those of you who studied at the Wigwam in Arizona, it's a smaller version of the Wigwam with green grass and no heat and trees and shade. It's very lush and it's wonderful. It's a spa. It's an escape center is what it is. And this is exactly the types of groups that they go for. They don't go for big corporate meetings. They don't do that. They want nice, happy little groups. And so we have a wonderful intimate space. And what we've done is we're going to put all our rooms together in one section, and they've dedicated one area of the property just to us. It's going to be very, very cool that way. Obviously, the public can come through, but we've done as much as we can to discourage that. So we're going to be able to create our own little enclave on the property, and it's going to be quite nice in that way. Let's just get into the nitty gritty of it all, because I know many of you have asked, what about the COVID thing? You know, let's just start with day one answer. If you know the answer, call me and we will go in on the lottery and we will retire together. I will tell you that I am managing over 20 active contracts right now, and I am juggling and moving these suckers all over the place. And it's a guessing game to a certain degree. So everything I say today is what is happening today and what we project. But I mean, it's a lot of it is just your best educated guess. The nice thing about level 4 is these classes are very small. I mean, by their design. So it's not like we're going to have hundreds of people all gathering together. The property itself does not lend itself to hundreds of people. The fact of where we are in location on the property, it's not going to encourage a lot of general public walking through our areas. So there's a limited amount of exposure to the general public, but of course there's nothing's 100%, but that's that. You know, the hotel has instituted all the procedures. We're in California. California is pretty hardcore about all the rules and regulations. So ultimately, we are in San Diego County. San Diego County is part of the state of California. The state of California has some very rigid guidelines, and San Diego County has been pretty proactive and actually very effectively. When you look at the statistics, San Diego is, I mean, we're one of the largest cities in the country, and yet our numbers are pretty good. I mean, San Diegans in general have been very responsive to how to manage the situation. And so there's that prologue. In terms of the individual class itself, what we are doing is when you check in with us, we are going to give you 2 face masks, 2 cloth face masks. I'm just telling people ask, do I have to wear them? Assume you do. Assume if you come to class, you are going to have to wear one, because that is what the state of California is probably going to be telling me. I am looking at it that we are operating under the same guidelines as a massage therapist. If you want to track this online, look and see what's happening with massage therapy, because they're allowing people to do some massage, but the client has to be masked and the masseuse has to be masked. You're going to be doing close-up hands-on work in grid. That's just a reality of it. So assume that you will be wearing a mask when that's going on. I'm giving you 2 because you can wear one, finish using it, wash it, and then you can wear the other one. So you can keep rotating your masks through the day, through the days. 2, we'll be giving you your personal bottles of sanitizer. It's very straightforward, you know, alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. There's no extra additives or crazy things in it. I happen to be very blessed. One of my best friends is a distiller in San Diego, and he's been making sanitizer on the side. So I have a personal private order of 5 gallons of that stuff waiting for me when I need it. So you will get your personal bottle and use as much as you want, and I will fill up your bottle because that's the way that one goes. In the class, when you attend, we have touchless digital thermometers. When you come into the learning space, we will check your temperature every time you enter the space. Every time you go to small group, we will check your temperature. That's just to kind of keep track of everything. I also have a case of lovely Clorox wipes, so you can sanitize your tables and spaces as much as you like and much as makes you feel comfortable. I also have thousands and thousands of nitrile gloves that you can use as you wish. You can use them, take them off, throw them away, use them again. It's as much as you feel comfortable with. We are doing the best we can to create an environment that meets the guidelines of the state and will hopefully make you feel comfortable as well. The nice thing about Rancho Bernardo Inn is we have small group space, obviously indoors, but because of the situation of the property, they've given us a very large lawn area outside, and we're going to try and put umbrellas out there. So we were doing this pre-COVID. So, I mean, this was just the idea to make it really fun and nice for you guys anyway, but it's like, woohoo! We also have outside options for those who wish to take advantage of that. So there you go. In terms of the logistics, I'm trying to see if there's any other question about that virus thing. Oh, let's just get to the nut of it. What happens if we have to cancel or postpone? Well, I'm sad to say we've done this many times already, and it's kind of cookie cutter for us now. If we have to cancel, you will have your choice. You can roll your tuition over to the new date, or you can say, you know what, that date doesn't work for me, I need a refund, and you will get a refund. If you are in another country, such as Canada, and Canada says you cannot fly to the United States, we will refund you. Because if you are restricted by government wherever you live because you can't travel, if for some reason, and who knows what the rules are, California decides that people from that area can't come in, fine. You know, if it gets to that point, frankly, we'll probably cancel. If California starts shutting down like that, that'll be just nuts. California has not shown any inclination to do that, by the way. I'll just say that for the record. That hasn't been the inclination. Just sidebar, California, we have a really interesting reputation, but the reality is we're a massive state. We are the world's 5th largest economy if we were a standalone country. So it's a massive enterprise to shut down California and do things. So everyone is managing it really well, but their goal has been to do it safely and going forward. But so refunds, we are flexible here. I mean, let's go with that, shall we? Flexible is the word. And I know a lot of you have asked about year 3 guidelines and, hey, I haven't finished that and haven't finished that. And I know Maddie will address that later. The key word here is we're going to be flexible. We're going to work with you. We know we're moving dates. I may even have some people on here, and because we're recording this, they may watch it later. We have some folks that took grid last October and they've been pushed back, and they're going to take it actually the week before most of you are going to come into grid. So for those of you, my heart goes out to them because they were supposed to be in April and now they've been pushed off to September. We understand. We understand it's an inconvenience, and we want these classes to happen. We don't have to have these classes, by the way. I just want to share that because that seems to be was a concern for some people when we did a very similar call like this for the level 3 people. And some of them were concerned that we were forcing the issue. We're not. The hotels that we're dealing with are very human. They're locally owned. They're great partners. And if the situation is unsafe, they're like, we don't want an unsafe situation. And they've worked with us and they've rolled our contracts and they've allowed us to maneuver it. So just know from my own heart, I will not be putting this class together because there's a contract over my head. And my final proof in the pudding is, some of you may know we canceled Energy Fest in Cleveland coming up in September, and we are still facing a 6-figure penalty on that, and we're still fighting that one. It's the Renaissance Hotel owned by Marriott, and rumor has it that Marriott is the tightest little in the world, and they own 40% of the hotels, and they're enforcing their contracts to the letter all around the world. And The exact amount is $133,962 that they want to penalize us for canceling Energy Fest. So let me tell you, this cute little property at Rancho Bernardo Inn with 24 of you, we are not holding the event because I'm worried about the contract. We want everyone to be safe and have a great experience. So the refund policy for the Rancho Bernardo, yeah, they would told if the event's canceled, they just wipe out the rooms. That's what happened with the regression class in April, is they just sit there and they ask the question, should we just cancel the rooms? It's like, yes, they just immediately wiped out all the reservations with no penalty whatsoever. If we can't make the October class due to travel restrictions, we'll be able to roll over to the England class. Susan, I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean if you can't make grid, can you apply for grid in the UK next year? Is that what you're asking? Where are you? There you are. Nod your head. Yes, no, is that what you mean?
Wait, I meant
Susan, we lost you again there.
if
Okay.
our travel plans get canceled due to California or wherever we are, would we be able to roll over to England, or do we have to wait for the following year?
You mean, would your application for grid in the United States count for the UK? I'm going to speak for Maddie and assume she's going to say yes. Nod your head. Yes, Maddie. Yes, yes. Grid in the U, even though it's better in the United States, the UK people are okay. This is all a joke, by the way. I hope you all understand.
I'm not rising to it,
Adore
Roger.
Maddie. I adore.
You can dangle
Woven
that
House.
faith in front of me, but I'm not rising to it.
No, actually,
Yes,
the UK,
Susan, come
and
to
I
me.
will say the European students are awesome. They have an amazing community, and they are amazingly tight knit. And Madison keeps them together, and they're great students. And I only tweak her because they're so amazing. I know they can take the little joke, but no, I would assume it's the same application, so I cannot imagine that there would be any difficulty transferring acceptance into year 4 over to whichever facility you wish to take it.
Thank you, Roger. Do you want to answer that one from
It says if we're
Becca?
coming for Canada, they won't let us cross the border. Exactly. That's what I was talking about. From if Canada or any country will not let you fly to the US, we'll just refund you. We'll just make it that simple. We can't do this. I know this question hasn't come up yet, but it's probably going to be asked. There will not be virtual year 4. That will not happen under any circumstances whatsoever. It's a totally hands-on experience. There is no virtual online substitute for that. We will just keep, if the world goes wacky, we will keep pushing this sucker off as long as we need to until you can all meet together and do the hands-on work. It is hands-on training, and there's no substitute for that. Did I answer the question? Yes, the answer is we will refund you if you can't travel, if there's government restriction.
Thank you, Roger. Do you have anything else before I pass it back to Maddie? I have a bunch of questions for her.
I'm standing by.
Okay, great. So Maddie, I have a lot of questions from people around preparation. How do they prepare their client? How do they prepare themselves? What is the preparation for not only taking level 4, but also going into your sessions and actually doing grid or regression on someone? Can you briefly talk on that?
Well, it's really, really easy to answer. And when you come to the class, you get big checklists of everything you should do. But it boils down to, for yourself or for your client, so to prepare to come to class or to prepare your client for a grid or regression, but particularly grid, all you have to do is make sure all those systems are as balanced as possible. You start by going to the real basics, that they're not homolateral, that they're not scrambled, that the energy is running in the right, all the things you know. And then you go through each of the system, the electrics, the aura, every system, and get it as balanced as possible. And that sounds really easy here, but that can take weeks sometimes. You know, it can really, it depends on the challenges your client presents. The 2 systems that you need to pay particular attention to are the chakra system, which I explained before is so intricately laced with the grid, that it's important to get the chakra system really robust. And the other one is the radiant circuits. You really need to get those radiant circuits going because they are so integral to the to grid work. Okay, so that's all you have to do. And I can't say it's going to take you a week, a month, a year, okay, because everyone is individual in their energetic anatomy, the challenges that that represents, and how quickly they respond. But the idea is to get the energy systems as balanced as possible in that person. Obviously, they're not going to be perfect because if there's a grid out, okay, but that's the lead up to class and to preparing a client for a grid.
Thank you. A couple of more questions around that same subject, but nuanced a little bit differently.
Yeah.
How busy or well established does your practice need to be before you feel like you can take level 4 and really go in and have the full experience?
You need to have I'm going to say a busy, but not necessarily busy. You need to have a good client base. So if we had to put a number on it, you need to be seeing, you know, maybe 10 clients a week in your practice. The whole thing is on not necessarily the number, but the quality and the consistency. So you're not, oh, I do my cousin up country once a month or something. You know, every day you're working with someone's energy. Okay, now I would just take that on a little bit now. As Roger said, the word that we really are using at the moment is flexibility. So we appreciate, and I certainly appreciate, I've just come from Spain, which totally locked down. You couldn't go more than 50 meters from your house. That a lot of you will not have had those clients' experiences in the last 3 or 4 months. So we will be very flexible on that. The most important thing is you're doing some sort of energy work. So if you've been in year 3 with Janelle, some of your 100 sessions that you would have done would be on yourself or remotely, okay? And they're counting in year 3, and I'm willing to accept that. I don't want to trip anyone up. I don't want to set the bar too high. I just want to make sure that you really are working with energy in some way. Now, because of that flexibility on the number of treatments and everything, I will be looking at the letters of recommendation a lot more and following up with the faculty sometimes, you know, to again give me that feel that you are ready, that you really are working with energy. And, you know, that's been rather scuppered because of COVID. But, you know, before COVID, you had a good practice. As I say, if you have to put a number on it, say 10 clients a week or something, but it's consistent. Does that give you an idea of what we're looking for?
Yes, and you talked about flexibility. Would you also be flexible on people coming from level 3? What if they haven't finished their 100 sessions to qualify for year 4? Is there flexibility there?
For this year only, okay, so you're special, okay, you're a very special group, but because of COVID, yes, there is that flexibility there. But again, as I say, you know, we'd be talking to your if you get a letter of recommendation from your year 3, your level 3 teachers, would be talking with them more as well. Yes, but we will, Dondi.
Wonderful. More on some of the requirements. This one is about requirements between the classes. What are the requirements for level 4 between classes? And for instance, how many sessions are required? Do any of those sessions need to be done live with your mentor?
Okay, so again, you know, we're going to have to dance with whatever is happening in the 12 months that the class runs. But in between grid and regression, you are required, the minimum requirement is to do 1 grid. If you do 1 grid, that enables you to do the regression class, okay? But over the entire year, you will have to do 6 grids. And you would do a grid, it's very personal, and then you always check in with your small group leader, your mentor, before the grid, and you decide with her if that client is ready for grid, and then you check in afterwards. A grid is not accepted if you haven't spoken to your mentor before and after. I would say at this point you have a different level of mentoring, and I want to encourage you to really use every single minute of it. I think you get 6 hours of mentoring with your grid mentor, and then you get a further 6 hours of mentoring with your regression mentor, and they will be different, okay? And use every second, and you decide with your mentor how you want to use it. And this is the year when you really can open up on those deep questions about how you feel, what the energy did. You know, it's a lovely level of mentoring, and we have the most amazing faculty who do mentor for you. So yes, so you'd have to do 6 grids in the course of that year, okay, minimum of 1 to get you into regression, and then you do 4 regressions. But I'm going to say something to you, okay? Everyone says, oh yes, I do 4, and they all do far more than 4, because regression is so much fun to do, all right? It really is. So 4 regressions by the end of that year, okay? Have I confused anyone, or is that clear?
I think it's
You can put
clear.
your
We're getting thumbs up.
Now's the time, and I'm not precious. You can say, nope, you totally confused me there, Maddie.
We're getting thumbs up. Maddie, can
I say
you?
one thing? Can I say one thing?
Yes, yes, go.
So we're saying this year, if COVID goes on a long time, as we are with the previous year, the level, we will extend it. You know, so don't worry. Don't worry. We don't want to add any pressure for you, because it is a pressurized time at the moment. So, you know, please believe us. We'll work with you. I'll work with you as well. And I take into account what students want, what you feed into me, and we'll work together to make it work, even if it takes that little bit more than 12 months because of COVID. Right, Dondi, sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you. So several more about the energetic foundation of a person. I think what happens is people get ready for level 4, maybe they're accepted, and then they go through something hard in their life and they freak out. Can I still go to level 4? What is my energetic constitution supposed to be like? Can you talk a little bit about that, and what advice would you have for people really wanting to build their resilience and their sturdiness before they come?
Okay, I will do. I'll do that second bit first. You know, we all have, I said earlier on about having a weak system. We all have a weak system. We all know, I know what my weak system is. I'm not going to tell you. So, but I know that I really need to work on that, you know, even before I do anything, all the time. So you know your weak spots. So start really working on your weak spots. Grounding, one of the most important things, whether you're in class 1 or you're at level 4 regression, is to really pay attention to your grounding. And I think what happens is we all learned that in class 1. So I've done that. That's not important. That's boring. Not gonna, yeah, here we go. Ooh, tap, you know, and that's it. Really ground, okay, because that will make such a difference to the grid you receive and the grid that you give. We all have different ways of grounding. If you want any advice, you can always, you know, go on the website. There's lots on that. You know how to ground, but do it, and do it with real intention. Radiant circuits. Now, the radiant circuits are such troubleshooters. So my advice for you is get those radiant circuits working, and with affirmations. Okay, so, you know, you are doing like regulate and may my body regulate and adjust with such grace and love. I am strong. I am robust. You know, you just do you're all going to be working your daily energy routine. You just take it up a notch. Pay particular attention to chakras, grounding, and radiant circuits, and your weak spot, your weak link in the thing. Did I answer that?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Let's get a couple of questions in about faculty. Can you tell us who the faculty will be for grid and regression? And you may not have that answer yet. And also on that, does the first mentor for grid stay with them until they have completed all 6
Yes.
grids.
Yes, absolutely. And on the case of mentors, yes, so your grid, you've got a whole year to do those grids, and that, you know, mentor A will be with you for all that time. And then your grid mentor will be with you for that 6 months, or however long if we extend it. So you have 2. I also want you to know that in Europe and in America, I want you to think of me as Auntie Maddie, okay? I do not want anyone in a class suffering, okay? If you are not happy with your mentor, if there's something that is very delicate that you're not sure about, I'm your port of call, okay? I'm very confidential, and I want to know if someone's not happy about anything or a little bit uncomfortable. It very rarely happens, okay? But it is really important to us that you enjoy your mentor, that the chemistry is good with your mentor, and you probably will know the faculty. So when I'm putting small groups together, I involve you. I will ask you, you know, what, so I don't guarantee I'll put you in that group, but I do say, you know, who would you like to be with? This is the faculty. And the same with partnerships. You know, we can partner up and, you know, a little bit. So it's a real group, a group decision with mentors and partners. Does that answer? Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Do you
trying to
want
be brief. I find it very hard to be brief.
do you want to talk about any of the faculty who you think might be there? There's never a guarantee. And with everything changing around right now, lots of dates changing, faculty is changing, but do you want to talk about some of the people who are usually there?
Yes, the people, well, for certain, I'm always there. And we have, I'm just looking at my list now because I can't remember what faculty we've got coming for that one. But Sandy Wand is always there as well. Sandy was, well, the first one that ever learned grid, I think, with Donna. And then I came along shortly. I'll tell you this, it was a great story about how I learned grid with Donna. We often have, these are the faculty, normally Ava Gold comes a lot, she has just been, Deborah Bouchard, Margie Fine, we have Michelle Ernest, Francie Boyce, we have the real senior faculty because they have the experience to hold you in your small group. But I can't, we haven't actually got the teams confirmed.
Roger has his hand up. Go ahead, Roger.
Do you
Yeah,
have-
I just want to add, because we always, you know, we've all known Sandy forever. And you know, it's always good to remember that Sandy rarely shows up in any of the other years. So people like, who? Maybe she's like this mythical figure that is mentioned in the Whispers or something. But I always like to say that if you wonder who Sandy is the person Donna handed her practice to when she left doing private practice. And I think that starts with the bona fides right there. And
yes.
forward from there. Sandy is one of our sages by far.
And I have to say, I think that's such a good way of, this gives you an idea of Sandy, okay? When I studied with Donna, we had no handouts. It was just like 4 of us in her back garden in Ashland, no handouts, nothing. And you all know Donna, all over the place. And I'd sit there, absolute, I'm a little Virgo metal and I like it all. Like, well, exactly where is that point, Donna? How long do you hold it for? But what if I don't know? You know, because she'd always say, oh, you feel it. What if I don't? You know, and it was, oh, gosh, wow, for a metal Virgo, that was a difficult learning curve. And I always went to Sandy because I say to Sandy, what does she mean by that? Oh, Maddie, you know, and she has this wonderful way of explaining how energy moves and the techniques that just bring it alive. And what the word you use, Roger, is right. She's a sage. She's the authentic wise woman, Sandy. And she's perfect. She's absolutely perfect for grid and regression.
Thank you. I'm going to move on. We still have 3 or 4 questions left. Maddie, is the world too unstable to do grids at this time? This is one of the rumors. And also on that, what does it take to get a client ready for the grid? What kind of preparations for the client?
Is the world too steady? We are in a, let's be really honest, we're in a very precarious time. There's a lot of negative emotion going around the world. I have spoken to Donna about this, you know, because first and foremost, we take your safety first and our own safety, you know, the faculty safety really seriously. And at the moment, we feel that if we work, we're advanced energy workers, and if we work with our energy, especially as well with the aura, especially if you're in an urban area where really that collective energy is quite strong, then yes, it is safe. But if at any time Donna or any of us feel, Sandy or myself feel, actually, you know, we're not sure about this, we will be talking to Roger and Jeffrey, okay? So yes, at the moment, it's going to take a little bit more to balance, to keep stable, to stay grounded, but yes, we can do it at the moment. And if you don't feel right doing it, if you don't actually want to give or receive, then you just come and talk to me. You're not going to be forced to do anything you don't particularly feel right doing, okay? But I checked in with Donna a couple of days ago, and she was having the feeling that this will be fine. This will be fine. Okay. We get through it. You know, we're trailblazers. We're energetic trailblazers. Getting your client ready. Ooh, how long is a piece of string? Okay, if you've been working with a client for a while, their energies trust your energies, and they're relatively balanced, then you may only take a few weeks in getting that client to a state where this is the best she's going to be. And you'll know her energy. This will be the best it be, and that could be weeks. However, you may have a client who actually really needs a lot more work, or needs the same amount of work but is slower in responding. So it could take 3 or 4 months to get a client ready. They're all different, and that's one of the reasons why we like you to have a relatively robust practice, so you have a pool of clients that you can think, oh, that one, that one, that one, my friend over there, you know. You have a big enough pool that you will be able to get over the course of a year those 6. It is very rare that you have a client, I don't think this has ever happened, and you say, oh, I'll do a couple of sessions and she's ready. It's very, very rare. You will have to increase your sessions with your clients probably. So if they're coming once every month or something, you increase it, the frequency, to really get their energies in the best place possible. So as again, there's no definitive number, but I would be thinking of weeks or 2, 3 or 4 months to get a client ready in a good place. What happens? Okay, what happens if the client isn't ready and you do a grid? Nothing major. What will happen is it just won't hold. It just won't take. You can't force grid energy. Grid will present itself to you when it's ready, and you can help it be ready by working with the client. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I have a few logistical questions. We're at the top of the hour. We'll go a little bit longer. Maddie, and this actually may be for Roger as well. Will I be eligible to attend level 4 if I have not received my certificate of completion for level 3 by the deadline to register?
Yes, if you have, as long as, well, Roger, you might want to chime in, but as long as you've actually done that work and it's just the case that the certificate hasn't come through, then yes, and you also would have your letter of recommendation from your level 3 teacher. I would accept that.
Great. And this one is a little bit off topic. It doesn't just relate to level 4, but Roger, due to the pandemic, will you be making exceptions with regard to continuing education credits required?
Ooh, Roger, you answer that.
Yeah, that question was a little interesting. Let me just backtrack and say, all of those, you know, those of you who completed year 3, your continuing training credits are good for the 2020 renewal cycle. You took year 3, level 3. When you take level 4, regression is in the next cycle. So you're covered for 2022. So anyone who has taken year 3 recently and is now taking year level 4, you're good until 2024. So, I mean, because you've covered your 22 by taking regression, because that'll be in 2021. That's in the next cycle. So I'm not sure if that answers that question, but I think that's it. And if anyone for some reason hasn't taken year 3 in a while and is coming back in now that they're ready, well, when you take grid in September, that would count for your 2020 renewal. So you could take grid in 2020, that would count for your 2020 renewal. And you could take regression in 21, and that would count for your 22 renewal. So I think you're covered however this seems to play out. If, like I said, anyone who took year 3 in the last 2 years, that counts for your 2020 renewal anyway. So I think everyone's covered there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Is the
We have,
person here who needs that question answered?
I think that was Laura. Laura is here. Yes, somewhere, I think. So let's see, we have actually another one, Roger. This may be a Maddie, also from Laura. We haven't received our certificate for year 3. So what date do you put on the application? Do you just explain haven't received it yet, Maddie?
Well, yes, you could put like pending or something like that, just so that I understand that you've done it and it just hasn't come through.
Thank you
Or
for
not
answering my
received.
questions.
Laura just said thank you. You're welcome.
Okay.
So the application deadline is a week away. This person hasn't requested the recommendations yet. What if getting those on time is an issue? And again, to go over dates, July 27th is the application deadline. And Maddie, do say the dates again for the class, just so everyone knows. It seems like a no-brainer to us, but there's been a lot of confusion around dates. So can you repeat those again?
Okay, so we've got October date. Roger, you you back me up on this. I got so many classes on here. It runs Friday morning till Monday after, late afternoon. So that's October the 2nd to the 5th. Yes?
The 6th. I'm sorry, no, 5th, my bad.
5th, yes. Don't, I must do a Wayne Cook. And then we have the regression on, when did we put regression? Let's see. Oh, Roger, I haven't got it on my thing. When have we got
Regression, I
April.
believe, is
23rd to 26th of April, yes?
Yes.
23rd to 26th of April. I'm going dyslexic here. Okay. Has everyone got that? So the first weekend in October and the last weekend in April. We start quite early on the Friday morning. And the other thing as well, I would say is, we do try and create a sacred space. So we have Titania there to open up with a very interesting and moving and sacred ceremony. And she closes the class with that as well.
Thank
But
you.
once you've applied, all these little logistics will be, clear and written down in a very Virgo style, because Carrie's good at that as well.
Thank you. Here's one that came in over email, and bear with me. I'm going to read it exactly as is, so you can take it in. I believe this is for Maddie. On the application, it asks, how many current clients do I think are ready for grid and regression? This person isn't quite sure how to answer that, mostly because of the timing. She hasn't been seeing clients since March, now only sees a couple of regular clients that are dealing with issues. Everything is affected by times, relationships. So in the current conditions, she's not actually sure how her practice is going to go into the future. And so do you know where I'm going with that? Can you answer that one?
Yes, and again, we're going to be very flexible, and if you haven't been working with clients since March, you're not really going to know how many are ready. So you can just say, not sure. But this isn't really just about the form filling in. This is about you being very honest as well. And I know, you know, it's difficult to know where it's going, but most of you will know your clients. So for example, if you had some clients who you know have had trauma in their life, you could think, well, they might be candidates for grid. And I've been working with them for a while. So I think that even though I haven't seen them since March or April, they come back, it wouldn't take too much. And they may be open to grid as well, because obviously your client's got to be open. So just go through your client list and think, in an ideal world, who may have had a trauma, who have you worked with a lot and things aren't really holding. And you think maybe the grid is that missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And you have a sort of picture in your mind. And if they are open to it, and when they come back, you know, getting them ready. Does that help? I know we're still keeping these questions in, but I do know it's very difficult to answer when you haven't been working for a few months. Just do the best you can. And on that application form, I think there's a comments section, isn't there? You know, and just write in that comments, Maddie, I don't know at the moment. I suspect I might have 8. I suspect I might have 2, whatever it is, you know.
Thank you, Maddie. This one says, whoops, it just disappeared. If we cannot travel and need to reapply, how detailed do our 100 sessions need to be? Same as in year 3?
Okay, you don't have to, yes, there have to be proper sessions that you have, you know, you've done the tracker form or you've done session notes on. Okay, so they're very structured. Now, you do not have to send me the 100 session notes, all right? So don't worry about that. But I may ask you to send me a couple, all right? So you don't have to send all that material to me. But yes, there should be proper session notes. And they should be session notes when you've done it remotely on another person, or even if some of those sessions are self sessions, you're treating yourself as a client. So those session notes need to be available if we ask for them, but you don't have to necessarily send them in.
Thank you. Roger, what if a person has a medical condition that will not allow them to wear a mask?
You should send me an email and describe what's going on. I'm going to suggest that probably my first instinct is going to be to say to wait and come back next year. Just because if you have a medical condition like that, then maybe you shouldn't be in grid this year. But, you know, send me an email, tell me what's going on, roger@innersource.net. I'm following the state of California and County of San Diego guidelines. They're very, very rigid. A letter from your chiropractor, and I don't say that glibly. That's actually an article in the local paper has discussed this. That is not going to be valid. I mean, it's going to need to be a well-documented circumstance, and it's going to be very, let me just say, if you've got a circumstance that actually qualifies and meets their guidelines, you probably shouldn't be in class. I'll just say it that way. So that's it. And I'm bound by the thing, because what's going to happen is our class is going to be one of the first, dare we say, groups that will be allowed back into the county. Groups are slowly, right now there are no groups allowed in California, in San Diego. So if we get to have the class in the end of September, early October, everything is going to be monitored like crazy. I am assuming somebody from the Board of Health will walk into our class at some point to see what's going on, because they are looking for 100% 100% compliance with zero tolerance, and they will just shut down the class. So the bar to not wear a mask in class, as I read it today, is extremely high. So if you want to address that with me, feel free. Once again, roger@innersource.net. Send me your documentation, and I'll give you an opinion of what I see. But it's a high bar, and I'm just repeating myself. if you pass that bar, you probably shouldn't be in class this year, would be my instinctual answer. I don't want to make it an absolute, but that's my instinctual answer at this point.
Thank you. We are going to wrap this up. I'm going to ask for final words from Roger and Maddie in just a moment. But I do want to say that there is a video that Maddie and I did all about year 4, how it began, how it was created, the whole story. And I'm going to give you the link. And Carrie, you can tell me if I'm incorrect. This is edenmethod.com/level-4-home. Is that right, Carrie? Yahoo! I checked it last night. edenmethod.com/level-4-home. There's a whole video we did last fall because people were really curious about just about level 4, what it is, how it was created, how it came about. And there's some fun stories there. So you're welcome to go watch that. If you have questions about the application, anything about letters of recommendation, go to the link where the application is. You'll be walked through it. It's very, very methodical. I believe all of your answers, all of your questions will be answered. And Maddie and Roger, would you like to say anything else today before we close up?
Maddie, let me go first because I know you're going to say something sage and magical, and I want to let them finish with that. I just want to say that my observation, for the longest time, it was actually this really weird laser wall that we were not allowed to enter. And now that I'm an event manager, I've actually got to peek behind the curtain. So I've really appreciate the magic of year 4, level 4.
You have to explain that a little bit more. For years at the Wigwam, we were not allowed in the room, like no staff. Dondi, you aren't allowed in, just stay out, door is locked. I'm like, me, I'm the daughter, who are you people? It was so secretive, and it really is magical. I've been in there since. Now I'm let in. But it's a beautiful, very sacred, very precious feeling that really has not that I haven't felt in any other class. Roger, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But it is a special place, and Maddie and Titania and Sandy and everyone, they go overboard to make it feel special, and it is a special. That said, the best thing I ever heard about level 4 when I was there is that not all clients need grid work, and not all practitioners need to do grid work. So don't look at it as you're a failure or you're not complete if you don't get accepted, or after you read everything and you just sit there and you go, you know what? This is for me. You can be an insanely successful and professional practitioner and never take it and never do a grid. And we have hundreds and hundreds of practitioners who are very content with their level 3 training and are some of the best practitioners we have. So don't feel like it's a requirement to get up there and you aren't complete unless you do, unless you feel it inside. Really, this is a personal journey for you. It's intentionally kept separate because it is almost a separate experience. So if you come, I look forward to seeing you. Of course, San Diego, my favorite place in the world. And Rancho Bernardo Inn is a magical, wonderful property. And we picked it specifically because of its qualities. And if I don't see you at the Rancho Bernardo Inn, I hope to see you in the future.
Oh, that was lovely. And I do second everything you said there, Roger. You know, it is a special experience. I don't even want to call it a class. It's an experience that you're either going to feel drawn to, and you don't have to make up your mind this second and this call, but just take some time to go into yourself and see if you feel drawn to the work, if you really feel drawn to it. And if you do, I think you're going to find, let me just put my phone down there, you're going to find that it's not only going to deepen you as a practitioner in a specific way, okay? But that depth you might not need. You may be working on a different level, not better, not worse, it's just different. But it will deepen and it will expand you as a practitioner. But it also, and this is what I mean to say when you feel drawn to it, if you're ready for that deep healing as well, because it's not just learning, you do experience receiving a grid on that. So it really can accelerate your healing as well. But I'm going to end by saying, yes, it's mysterious. Yes, it's magical. Yes, it's sacred. Yes, it's great wisdom. But do you know what? We laugh and we have fun as well there. And you will bond with your little group. And that will be a very sacred, that will be a very sacred friendship that will carry through. But we do laugh and we do have fun.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Carrie. Do you have anything else, Roger, before we go? Or Maddie or Carrie, would you like to say anything?
I would just say to you, if you have any question or concern or doubt, or even it's a silly little question, you think it's a silly little question, don't let it niggle away. You can email me. Carrie, they've got my email, haven't they, on the thingy? Or it's madisonking@hotmail.com. Okay, or in a source. Just email me and I'll get back to you. You know, it's important that you know, all your little questions are answered before you decide whether to apply or not. So feel free to email me directly.
Thank you. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. We hope to see you at Level 4 in San Diego or in England or wherever it may be. And thank you so much for joining us today. Bye-bye, everyone.